Mana mana.
Do 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 do.
Mana mana.
Do 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 do.
Mana mana. Hello and welcome to Old Lockdown How We Laugh, a very special Christmas episode 2021 with the returning socks and a very, very special guest all the way from Lapland, Santa himself.
Ho, 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 listeners, watch
Who's
out.
he calling a ho?
Courtesy of his booking agent from Glasgow, Graham Mackie, a good friend of mine from the comedy scene.
Great guy.
I've just brought these guys on because the world didn't seem demented enough. And I thought I'd have a couple of the weirdest, coolest guests I could think of and have a wee chat about lockdown comedy and what we're all going to be doing this time next
Jimmy,
year.
before we go any further, you are not in the middle of your screen. My OCD is kicking in.
How's that?
Phew, that's a lot better.
You're not saying nothing about the daft elf hat? No.
No, that's okay. Everything else is fine. As long as you're in the middle, I don't give a hoot.
I don't think it's your OCD at all. I think your booking agent's rubbing off on you. It's a school teacher. Graham Mackie.
It is. Talking about school teacher, I rescued the school's Christmas tree. Can you see it out the window?
Oh, aye, cool.
Because school finished this afternoon, they made an announcement in the tannoy and said, if anybody wants the Christmas tree, come and get it because it's going in the bin. So I went down and said, ho, 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 geez that Christmas tree. I'll put it in the garden. And it's at a jaunty 85-degree angle. I think it's an embarrassment to a technical teacher, but my hands are full of pines. I had to carry it all the way home.
So what about you, Socks? Have you got any extra unexpected Christmas gifts today?
We haven't got a Christmas tree, but I've just spotted down here that what we do have, I don't know why this is lingering here, but we've got, can you see her? She's Harley Quinn off of the Batman comics, and she's wearing her Christmas stuff. So she is essentially our Christmas tree for the day. We got Harley Quinn, we'll cover her with tinsel and glitter a wee bit later. You stay there, Harley.
So I've actually gigged with both of you guys in real life recently. In the Vibe Room a couple of weeks ago with you, Graham, and out in Nottingham. I seen you guys.
That's right.
You just completely smashed it, man. In Nottingham, that was brilliant.
Nottingham was fantastic.
That was such a good night.
That was the guys from Sounds Proper. They put on a cracking
it was lovely,
shows.
man.
Loads of great shows.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a fantastic weekend. But in your show, but I'd seen you in Zoom before, but I wasn't quite ready for the complete experience. The man downstairs does some job. Like, comes in and there's about an hour of listening to you guys singing Space Oddity and Come On Eileen, like before you actually even hit the stage. It's
That's why you certainly get value for money.
Oh, you do.
Either that or we just give lots of material away for free before we've started.
And how about you, Santa? I gigged with you a couple of weeks ago in the Vibe Room.
Yeah, that was a good laugh. Yeah. I did that character again in Des McLean's gig out in Bowness.
Right.
It was hysterical, absolutely hysterical. I did about 25 minutes of the same chaos.
Yeah.
And I'm actually on in East Kilbride on Thursday night.
Right.
I got a ticket at East Kilbride Sports Club, and I do believe, but I understand that Santa may very well be making a reprise with a new sack full because the last contestant took all the presents home with them, including a pair of my dirty socks, which you boys might be upset at. I apologise.
We're missing our cousins already.
Yeah. I'm just thinking there's maybe some kind of connection here, like.
Exactly.
And if you're genuinely concerned about the socks being missing, we could maybe ask the Scottish Falsettos to put out a wanted poster in their underground sock network.
Get one of those pictures stuck on the side of the milk carton saying "missing a sock." That should do
it. Slightly crusty. Answers to the name of Santa.
Did they even take the CDs?
Took a lot. Took everything. They even took the carbonara, the box of carbonara that's 6 years out of date. Took the wooden spoon, they took my tie, they took everything, a lateral flow test.
The Viagra. Tell me they didn't get the Viagra, Graham.
They threw that back at me. Look at that. 2 negative lateral flow tests. Eee. I'm going to get my booster after this. So if you never see me again. That was one done this morning and one done yesterday.
So, what gigs have you guys got? Have you done any gigs cancelled with the recent announcements that we're starting lockdown again?
Yep.
Well, you guys seem to be doing pretty well for still having gigs going. Most everybody that we know has had their gigs cancelled. Our last one was supposed to be Saturday night, but admittedly, sales had been shit all the way up to it. But as soon as the whole Omni started, then that was it. It was let's just call it a day and schedule a show for 2027.
Yeah, I know, it's not totally.
That's good. Quick as that. Fantastic. You must have insider knowledge.
Yeah, either that or we're just born optimists.
So,
I've had 2 cancelled in the last weekend. Sunday afternoon was cancelled in the Classic Grand, and the Blue Lamp in Aberdeen was cancelled. Yeah.
What is the one for January?
No, it was Saturday night there.
Right.
The pub just decided, how are we swearing? Are we okay for swearing?
Aye.
The pub just decided, damn it, we're just going to...
Oh no, he said damn it. Man said damn it. Wash your mouth out with soap and water. I'm black affronted, so I am.
I apologise profusely for my profanity there. Do you like my lava lamp?
All I can say, Socks, is
it's like being in a TARDIS. This we've had CDs, we've got a llama lamp.
If you're offended by that, don't go and see him live.
An exercise bike.
Fantastic.
Yep. And you want to see what's down the back of the couch? Well, you know what it's like down
I don't want to see that.
No, there's plenty of socks down the back of the couch.
So, do you think we're basically going in for another extended lockdown?
I don't think they'll go as far as lockdown, right?
Aye.
But it'll be a ball hair, a pubic follicle, slightly short of it. It'll be a lockdown by any other name, and they won't shut the schools either. The COVID doesn't go into schools, as you know.
Aye.
COVID can read, and it says, "This is a school. Stay clear." So COVID immediately turns around and then attacks people at maybe a football stadium that could hold maybe 60,000 people. It would maybe go there and attack.
Is it not true that they've cancelled Hogmanay in Edinburgh?
Yeah,
Yes,
they have, aye.
If they cancel Hogmanay in Edinburgh, does that not mean it's still last year? So it is still 2020.
Well, it'll never be 2022. Yep. Yep.
Well,
We'll never get another name. Yep.
Well, I'm quite encouraged.
We actually did that. The one it was called Winter Wonderland. I think they still call it that, don't they? And they have a Spiegel tent, and they've got all the ice skating ring. And we were every night of the month, right the way through December. And then it's really weird because you do the first week of January, but you're doing all your Christmas material, which nobody can be asked to change what they're doing. So we're still doing the 12 days of Christmas for another 12 days. But
That's good that we're going.
that was quite good because we got a freebie. We got free pass to actually being down there in Princes Street Gardens, and it was good fun. But I wouldn't have fancied it now. I mean, who is gonna snog somebody who's gonna give you the lurgy? That's the case every year. Forget it.
I don't you know who you're on with, Socks. This entire podcast doesn't exist. It's just to satisfy Santa's agent's foot fetish.
Yep. My agent's masturbating furiously in the corner. Stop that. Yep. Put your hands where we can all see them.
So I mean, it's bad that lockdown's coming again, but I'm really encouraged by the amount of things that have happened in comedy just in the last sort of 5 months since August. It's it really came back with a passion.
Oh, it came back with a bang. Yeah.
Aye, and it's we've done it once, we can do it again.
The comedians came back. Did all of the audiences come back? I mean, surely it's not just us who've had a few slightly lower audiences. Like there's been a couple of shows where the number of people selling tickets has had to be limited. So we've sold maximum amount of tickets, and then you turn up and only a quarter of them have shown up. So you get to keep their money, and that's brilliant. But there's been a bit of that.
Well, I mean, there is. I found audiences a lot more receptive to comedy than before. Like when the room has been full.
Because the old people have all died of COVID. I exclude myself from that comment, of course.
Yeah, we've always targeted the slightly older demographic. We may be discovering in 2022 we don't have an audience left.
Yes.
Well, I mean, Santa, you've been delivering presents around like the world for at least a few hundred years now, so you've got to be at least 500. So
yes.
you're so old, you're basically young again.
Yep, I'm 563 on the 7th of January. Just in case anybody's going to send me a birthday present. Well, there was a gig on Friday night in Glasgow, and it was sold out, completely sold out, with a waiting list of people to go to the gig. But in fact, when the doors opened, 10% of the audience turned up.
Right,
yeah.
10% of the audience.
That's been a thing. Advance sales are a bit of a blessing in that way, but it's a bit shit.
Yep. So all the food was bought, all the waitress staff were there. They had comedians, but not me. But 90% didn't turn up. There was a different case on the Saturday. I think the Friday was corporate events. That's what it's put down to. So companies have bottled it, whereas the great British public or the great Glaswegian public have just said, "Fuck it, we're going out to play," and quite rightly so.
I think
we've benefited from the corporate side because a couple of them shifted to doing online gigs, and of course we are the kings of the online gig. Because the online gig, we had a brilliant lockdown, by the way.
Oh, you did that.
All of those lockdown gigs, we started doing them, and then we were doing our own regular gig. We stepped up to doing them once a fortnight, and then May of June of this year, some bugger unlocked the country, let people put comedy shows on, and our audiences fell off the map.
Shocking. Shocking. I hope you wrote a very stiff letter to them.
If we could have traced them down, we would have done.
Yeah.
We had a track or trace system, cost a fortune, shit use.
I think they did in May, but unfortunately I landed in the post box the day of that office meeting.
You probably find they were out the back having a cheese and wine after
mad on the coke.
Yeah.
Probably used your letters, snort or coke with.
Those pictures of them having those parties last year, who sat on those pictures? I mean, what must it have been like sitting, knowing you've got the smile, the permanent erection you must have when you're walking around with a wee bit of blackmail like that sitting in your back pocket?
After you've driven back from Barnard Castle, you could put them in the glove compartment of your car.
Yeah, man, it was Dominic Cummings, man. Like around about 2027, just about the same time as we're getting back out for gigs, and if that government's still in power, Dominic Cummings will still be issuing things monthly. It's going to get pretty dark.
It's a funny old world.
You probably have a dress with spunk stains on it. And not his own. And not Monica Lewinsky's either. Of course, she's got her own spunk stains, but they're not hers.
I don't think you can talk about spunk stains with a pair of socks. I think that's a taboo issue with socks.
It certainly brings back unpleasant flashback memories. We've had trauma counselling. Yeah, we're over it.
You two need to stick together.
So,
how do you think the pair of us are standing up? Think it through.
One thing I thought when I seen you guys live was you seem so small.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Zoom gigs. With the Zoom gigs, because we're the whole size of the screen, we're like gods in this environment. Which is why going back to the live environment, it's like you've got a comedian who's like 4'6" tall. It's basically like having two Susan Calmans. That's what it's like.
And you don't get to see like the comics react to is like confused or whatever. You don't really get to see
No,
that.
we do
Just go at the
have
back
this
laughing.
bizarre tendency, Jimmy. I don't know if you've found this, but we have this tendency to hope they're going to make it audible. You know, yeah, if you enjoy it, do let somebody who's on the other side of a wee bit of cloth know about it. Otherwise, it will be a shit gig. And by the way, leaving to the sound of your footsteps, how easy do you think that is for us?
Good point. But I get some great photos of people lining up for selfies with you guys as well. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they were getting the selfies, but I enjoyed the photographs actually. The big line of people with the big smiles on their faces going to get their selfie taken with a pair of
You know, we
socks.
feel for people when they do sock selfies at the end of the show because we ming. We have absolutely reeking, because you think it's your feet that sweat in socks. It's not. It's anything. You leaving some socks for an hour and then I don't know, wiggle about for a bit. Anything, yeah. And you know, absolutely sweaty fingers, sweaty. I mean, tricks of the trade. We're giving it all away here. We are giving it all away. But by the end of a night in a sweaty venue, we are absolutely soaked. We're ringing.
So, have you guys ever gigged together in real life?
No. Oh, you talking to
I thought you meant two of
The
us.
socks, the socks, and
How the hell do we go solo?
I know.
I know we
No.
haven't, Santa. We
No,
haven't.
we've never met in real life. No, this is a real pleasure for me to actually be on the same screen as the two socks.
And of course, we were hoping to get up to Glasgow for the Glasgow Comedy Festival, and then they decided preemptorily to cancel that. Sounds like very ahead of the game. They were ahead of the curve, that's true.
Well, not so fast because there's a Glasgow Comedy Weekender happening at the end of March.
Yeah.
We can put you in touch with organisers. And
That would
also,
be good.
bizarrely, they announced that Glasgow Comedy Festival is coming back yesterday in the form of a Facebook post that confused a lot of people. So I think.
Do they mean something happening in March or April 2022 though?
Yes.
2022, yeah. And
wow.
Lockdown.
Well, we're in then if we can.
Lockdown permitting, and you know, depending on what's actually happened with the official Glasgow Comedy Festival, there's definitely a comedy weekender at the end of March because we all missed the comedy festival so much. So if you want to come up to Glasgow in March, basically, I think we can put you in touch with the right people. Socks.
Yeah, definitely. We want to do that because the Glasgow Festival is always good. We always get a crowd. We always get a crowd because it's a festival. So because there's a program and people are looking out for stuff, they find stuff like us. And you know, it's good for other people who are doing not just regular stand-up shows. People who are doing 1 hour shows and people who are doing experimental stuff. Because we did, there's that other thing we do, that sitcom thing, which nobody's heard of or cares about. The sitcom trials, a thing we did, did it in 2016. And that had a good little innings in Glasgow as well, because with the festival, you can get people along.
Well, I'm sold. We'll just put you. I'll send the man downstairs the details of who to contact and all that, and hopefully we'll see you in Glasgow in March. And have you got plans for Brighton and Edinburgh?
Ah, good point. Good point. We've Edinburgh, yes. Brighton, we've kind of let that slide. I think we're supposed to have that sorted by now. That's May. We always do that in May, but of course we've missed 2 Mays. Hopefully.
Well, I can't wait.
Sorry,
to see
we're not being riveting company in this. Basically, hello, listeners at home. What you're hearing is some comedians comparing diaries. It's not essentially a spectator.
Look, man, look, you're busting a illusion. We're doing it in Christmas hats and dressed up as socks and stuff. So they wouldn't have noticed that until you mentioned it. You put a label on it, and now we look like idiots. Well done, socks.
Glad to be of service. Sorry, he's just sorting out some jiggery pokery. Got so excited, somebody's earphones popped out.
So going back to the sort of war crowds and all that, you were talking about a minute ago. The last gig, I ran a gig in my local area, and there was only about 30 people there. That was the day that they were announced that they might basically do a lockdown, or she announced that basically you can go out, but you'll be a bad person if you do. And I found that even smaller crowds, there's a willingness to enjoy comedy that I don't honestly remember from before lockdown. You know, Or maybe it was just the gigs I was doing.
we would love to be able to concur with your observation, but frankly, the gigs we've had, which have been fine, I've actually noticed no great difference apart from slightly variable numbers.
Yeah.
I would love to have something pithier to conclude from my academic research.
All right, well, that's just another dimension of my delusional fucking stuff.
My observations, for what they're worth, I would concur with right sock. Of course, it's right sock from the perspective of where the socks are.
No, I am the one on the right. I am the one on the left. You nailed it there.
Well done. Well, it's been a technical. I'm good at nailing. No, I think virtually every gig I've done since we've been back has been packed. There's been very few that haven't been full. And I would say that people have, well, certainly they seem to enjoy it. But I think, I just think that the public at large are getting so pissed over by saying things like, it's like way back to when Boris said the pubs are closed. No, the pubs are opened. Don't go to the pub.
Yeah.
What kind of message is that? You know, you've got a cock, but don't piss with it. You know, it's nonsense. You've got coke in the House of Parliament. Don't snort it. It's just not going to happen. So I think they've done a good job on certain parts of society, frightening them again.
Right.
You know, and they seem to have. Whereas the last time they slept with their finger up their ass, this time they seem to be ahead of the curve. You know, shut up, and the little evidence that seems to be coming from South Africa is it's no worse than a bad cold. You know, okay, there's a lot of people going to get it, and a lot of people are going to be off their work, but their work might not be there if they close things down. You know, and it's back to waiter service in a pub and things like that. It's just driving everybody crazy.
We are ourselves also cautiously optimistic, because all of the scientific stuff you hear is kind of the new variants, and all variants would be like this. They've got to be able to spread faster. That's how they are the ones that survive. But they've also got to kill you less, which is how they survive. So something which escapes the host but keeps the host alive longer is what you get at the end of. It's the same with the flu. The flu started like this. In 1918, it would kill you. In 1919, it would kill you less. And by 1920, people had stopped talking about it and discovered jazz music. And that was History 101 by the Sox. Thank you.
Well, I'm no virologist, as I'm sure everybody that's listening will know. And that's pretty much the way the Sox have put it was very eloquent. I think that's exactly how viruses work.
Yeah.
They don't want to kill the host because by consequence they snuff it. So they do want to become more spreadable but less deadly.
Yeah.
And I would imagine that the virologists that the government employ, I'm pretty sure they're aware of this kind of situation. And they must have planned for this. If they didn't, they've been taking the coke more than the government. They must
The thing is, though, the virologists and the scientists and the doctors, they're not allowed to plan for it. They're allowed to stand there on a podium beside Boris, while Boris clearly says things that they are shocked by, and then they turn around and the worst they can do, the worst Chris Whitty can do, is put on a face a little bit like a slapped arse and try and express his disdain with no visible eyebrows. He's really not got all of the tools of the powers of command at his hands.
And the worst thing about it is it's not even anywhere near as entertaining as when Trump goes up and tells everybody to announce bleach and his visors sit there looking horrified.
Watching their careers down the pan.
I tell you, they've saved money on the whole university, because you know there was this move for us all to go to university and everybody was going to get a degree. Amazingly, without having to spend money on that, everybody in the country is an expert on virology and epidemiology. So, result.
Yep. Why bother going to university? Why the need for universities when every second person's a virologist? Well, there's one going by. You're a virologist? Yep. What's your opinion? Yep. Oh, he's the parking warden.
I think he's having your tree.
I think he might be. I think he's the parking warden.
I I was talking about the vaccine recently with somebody that was anti-vaccine, like not like, you know, passionately so, and going on the internet and pretending to be a virologist. And I was saying to them, like, you just might as well take it, because even if all that stuff's true, like, and it's going to do all the stuff that everybody on Earth, then the only people left to talk to will be fucking anti-vaxxers. You know what I mean? That's not an ideal situation. I'll go with the zombie side.
No, this is the thing that's quite hard from the point of view of comedians, because comedians, a lot of what you got to do is be skeptical. A lot of what you got to do is, when everybody is saying do this, it's quite a sort of knee-jerk reaction to say, well, wait a minute, should I be doing this? But this has been the one time when your natural instincts as an observational satirist are to shut up and say the same as the agreed consensus. So it's been a challenge, because if you open your gob and, you know, are critical in any slightly skeptical way, and I'm not saying we are, but, you know, we stand back sometimes, and then you kind of think, I want to stay on the side of the angels, though.
Yeah.
Even though sometimes the instinct is to take a balanced view.
Well, I mean, I think with the vaccine, like, I think I eventually caught COVID after the vaccine, and at first I was raging. Like, I took that vaccine and now I've got COVID. It's all a big scam or whatever, you know, for the 2 of the 10 days I was stuck in the house with it. And then I kind of realised that my symptoms weren't anywhere near as bad as first reported. You know, so I think the vaccine definitely helped there. You know, lessening the long-term effects of the virus itself, you know?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. The balanced science has taken forever to come in, because we all still keep getting anecdotal stories, and yours and mine. We've all got a mate who's had 2 jabs and then got some kind of symptoms and got the COVID. I had a friend who got hospitalised with blood clots from the COVID, but after his 2 jabs. Thing is, that's just an anecdote. It does not help. It's not the balance. I want stats. I want figures. I want accumulated, verified evidence from, you know, just
I am a certified Facebook virologist. I want scientific data to back this up.
I'll give you facts. When I caught the Spanish flu in 1917, it was bloody terrible. And it took me nearly 100 years to recover.
There you go. Always ask to Santa.
Yeah.
Always turn to a saint. That's what I say.
Christmas lights are flashing in the tree now.
Christmas lights, they do not look
like
shy.
Christmas.
So
everywhere I
we
go.
If do you want to continue that song, and that will bring it pretty much to a close?
Wonderful time of the year.
It's beginning to smell a lot like Christmas because of the Brussels sprouts with potatoes and I can't remember the words. It was our classic. Check it out on YouTube, everybody. It's beginning to smell a lot like Christmas by the Scottish Falsetto Socks.
So before we go, where can we find you in your social media and things?
Santa?
You'll find me just outside Oslo in the North Pole. No, I'm absenting from social media. I don't publicise anything I do. But before we go, I will say, one of the young people came into the classroom today and announced to the whole class, "This classroom smells of farts." Coincidentally, just directly after yours truly had launched one right at the door. And of course I had to say, "Does it indeed? Wonder who could have done that." She thinks I'm an arsehole as well.
And after that bit of anti-social media, our social media is we're at Falsetto Socks. And if you type Scottish Falsetto Socks into anything, you get us on the Twitter and the Facebook and the Instagram and all of that.
All right. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all on today.
Oh, by the way, our next live gig, if there's anybody listening anywhere near, I think it's Hampshire, it might be Wiltshire, there's a place called Borden, and we're doing a Burns Night special on the 25th of January.
Brilliant. And you're on Friday, which is the day I'll be putting this out, at Eagle Bride. Thursday. Is
Thursday.
it?
Thursday, Nice Bride. Friday, on a sleigh in Cambuslang.
Right, that's where you're starting to go around the entire world.
That's my starting point to go around the entire world is Cambuslang, 2 hours. I will have thermal knickers and socks on to try and stop myself freezing to death.
All right, well, thanks again for coming on. It's been a great pleasure talking to you all. And have a really
Brilliant.
good Christmas, Happy New Year, and see you back on the stage next year at some point.
A Happy New
2027.
Year when it
Happy
comes. Cheers,
Year.
Jimmy.
Bye, everybody. Have a great evening and have a great Christmas.
Bye bye.
Mana mana do 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 do. Mana mana do 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 do. Mana mana do 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 do.